App. Click, enjoy, repeat.
As we first reported exclusively yesterday, Milwaukee Public Schools Superintendent Dr. Keith Posley has now officially resigned following a lengthy executive closed session by the MPS board that lasted well into the early morning hours this morning. The board unanimously accepted Dr. Posley's resignation at about 2 a.m. We will have the details, plus President Biden finally announces his executive action to effectively close the southern border. This, ladies and gentlemen, is how you can tell the polls are an absolute nightmare for Biden, because this is a complete reversal of him saying for the past, 8-9 months that he was powerless to do anything without congressional approval, that there was just nothing he could do. Now, however, as we're getting into the dog days of summer, we're getting into the period at which we've seen over the past couple of years a slight uptick in border crossings, even though traditionally the summer months were far too hot for migrant crossings at the southern border. And of course, the big reason, the polls for President Trump have not tanked following his conviction in New York. We will get to all of that in just 1 second. However, we are debuting a brand new, very brief national contest. Right now, it's the iHeartRadio Music Festival Win Before You Can Buy contest, and we're going just 1 week, today through next Tuesday. And we've done this the past couple of years. In conjunction with our announcement of the iHeartRadio Music Festival lineup, we're giving away tickets, plus most expenses paid trips to Las Vegas. You can win before you can even buy. What's included? Round-trip airfare, hotel stay, tickets to the iHeartRadio Music Festival, and here's the kicker, a $1,000 gift card. News Talk 1130 WISN and 1310 WIBA have your chance at a trip to the festival. All you need to do is text the keyword, and that keyword is producer Dave. Do we have it somewhere? Oh, here it is. It's festival, Festival. I've got 3 different sheets, all basically announcing the exact same thing, and only one had the festival. All you need to do, text the word festival to 200-200. You've got until 55 past this hour. That's festival, Festival. If you choose to enter the contest, you'll get a confirmation text and information. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. So we've got Dr. Fauci's testimony from yesterday, finally admitting to NIH funding of the research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology that led to COVID-19. We've got a big resignation from Dr. Keith Posley, MPS Superintendent. We've, of course, got the latest on President Trump's conviction, the state of the race, and all of that. But we are so pleased to welcome a very special guest to the Dan O'Donnell Show. First things first, we welcome former Congresswoman and a fan favorite all over the News Talk show. She is going to be both in Dane County, visiting with Republicans there, and Milwaukee County, visiting with Republicans there. Please welcome Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi, it is such an honor to talk to you.
Dan, thank you so much. It's great to talk to you and your listeners. I appreciate you having me on.
So why is Wisconsin such an important state? I know you were a Democrat. You're now something of a centrist moderate. You have expressed your dissatisfaction with Democrats, Republicans as well, throughout your career. Is Wisconsin, again, the critical swing state this November?
There's no question about it. You all know how important your state is better than anyone else. This election is, in my lifetime, the most important one we've seen. what's at stake in this election is nothing short of our freedom, our democracy, the rule of law, the country that we know, that we cherish, and that we love. I'm calling you from Texas today. I'll be heading to your beautiful state on Thursday and Friday. I will be back there again, I'm sure, more than a few times before Election Day, really because of how critical it is that we send Joe Biden and Kamala Harris home packing. In the introduction, and you ran down over the news, I mean, you touched on just a couple of the examples of many of how the Biden-Harris administration and the Democrat elite in Washington are brazenly abusing their power and showing that they will stop at nothing in order to try to stay in power and prevent us from being able to have the freedom to choose who we want to be our next president and commander-in-chief. We've got to stop them, and that is my mission between now and November 5th.
A couple of weeks ago, there was a poll of the swing states that listed you as the top choice to be former President Trump's running mate. Would you consider that? Is it just something that's flattering? Do you have interest in joining the ticket? Where do you stand on that possibility?
Dan, my entire adult life has been dedicated to serving our country. And if given the opportunity to serve in that role, I'd be honored to do so and to continue doing my very best to help bring people together. I think this is a unique role that I have found myself in, frankly, not by design, but it is a fact. That because of the life that I have lived in politics as a Democrat for a long time, serving at the highest levels of the Democratic Party in Washington, and seeing and experiencing firsthand how corrupt they are and the lengths that they are willing to go to destroy our democracy, reject our Constitution, and take away our freedom, that I know how serious this threat is, and I can connect with people, and I'm connecting with people who are disenfranchised Democrats like I was, who are independents and feel politically homeless and not sure what to do. We've got to come together as Americans right now to defend our country during this extreme time of need, and I look forward to being able to have the opportunity to do that in any fashion.
Former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, potential Trump running mate. Tulsi Gabbard joining us on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Tulsi, was there one event or was there one thing that made you a disaffected Democrat, that made you sort of question your place in the party and the ideological movement known as progressive liberalism?
It was many things over a long period of time. You know, it started out, I would say it probably started with Trump's campaign in 2016, when I saw how I was the vice chair of the DNC for the first part of that year. I saw how corrupt the DNC was, ended up leaving the DNC. And I saw how there was a very specific experience I had after Trump got elected, when I was invited to go and meet with him. It was barely 2 weeks after the election, just before Thanksgiving, and I was invited to come and speak with him about foreign policy, about radical Islamist terrorism and ISIS and Al-Qaeda in the Middle East and how we could defeat them. And we sat and had a great conversation for over an hour in Trump Tower. I was grateful for the opportunity because, again, I love our country. I've always been an independent-minded person, and if I could play some role in helping to influence the next president and commander-in-chief to help defeat our enemies, then what a great opportunity to do. What surprised me, Dan, was when I walked out of Trump Tower within probably about 10 minutes, because, of course, the media is camped out there. They started tweeting out, look who just walked out of Trump's office. I started getting messages from people who were close to me, my colleagues, people from across the spectrum in the Democrat Party, and they were blasting me, so angry, furious. And the one kind of common criticism was, how dare you meet with Donald Trump and humanize him? And that kind of surprised me at that time. But when you look at what has happened since then, what has commonly become known as the Trump derangement syndrome, what we now know is why the swamp creatures in Washington are so terrified of Donald Trump, This is what it comes down to, and why they are willing to destroy our country in order to prevent us, again, from having the opportunity to choose to vote for Donald Trump this November.
Do you think that the trial and conviction of Donald Trump was more than just lawfare? Because I've sort of been ruminating over this since the verdict was announced on Thursday afternoon, that this really is, I mean, we just saw an election in Mexico yesterday. And the big headline is, of course, that Mexico has elected its first female president. Well, what isn't quite as well known are all the presidential candidates who were assassinated over the past several months, years, etc. Are we seeing an effort not to have Trump assassinated or something like that, but the way you put it, that he's just taken out and the American people are not given that option? Are we seeing a similar sort of descent into the sort of behavior that we condemn in other countries?
Unfortunately, I am very sad to say this, we are well down that path because of what President Biden and the others who are pulling the strings in the Democrat Party are doing. And you know, as uncomfortable and horrific it is to talk about this, I would not put it past them to do the worst possible things. And I'll give you an example, and I've talked about this before, is when you look at how often they compare Donald Trump to Hitler.
Yeah.
They are essentially inviting someone who believes that they will be doing the country and the world a favor if they removed that Hitler-like threat. And this is my very deep concern. Obviously, President Trump has a Secret Service around him, and I know they take all threats seriously. But in my mind, these are not just empty words that they are throwing around carelessly. They're very intentional when they consistently and repeatedly refer to Donald Trump as the Hitler of today, that he is the man who will destroy our country. And so we've got to take this very, very seriously, remain very vigilant, and again, understand the very real threats that are posed, not just to Donald Trump, the person, Donald Trump, the candidate, but we are talking about the very real threat to the foundation of this country. We don't have a country if we don't have the rule of law. We don't have the United States of America if we don't have the freedom to express our views in the way and the platform of our setting. We are not the United States of America if we don't have the freedom to criticize our own government. That is the hallmark of this country and our democracy. But when you look at the verdict that came down in New York last week, and you look at the continued onslaught of weaponizing the Department of Justice against both Donald Trump, but also against peaceful pro-life protesters, people who are expressing their outrage at Board of Education meetings with the indoctrination that's happening to our kids. This is happening to everyday Americans across the country. And so you refer to what we've just seen in Mexico and the untold story that's not making the headlines there. This is exactly what's happening here, which is why I am so intent, no matter what happens, I will do all that I can. We all must do all that we can to ensure that we save our country. We're the only ones who can do it in this election.
What do you think the question I get all the time, Tulsi, is, well, what can we do? So we have to do whatever we can. Your average person listening to me or watching me on our live stream hears that and says, okay, what does that mean? Does that mean knocking doors? Does that mean donating? You know, because it seems as though we've awakened a sleeping giant here with the hundreds of millions of dollars in both big and small donations. I believe the number is up around $75-80 million in just small donations to Donald Trump in the few days that we've had since the conviction. But when you say we need to get involved, we need to get active, what does that mean to you?
I'm so glad you asked, Dan. And this is why, even in these darkest of times, why I feel hopeful. and optimistic, because I know that there are so many Americans. There are more Americans who love our country than those who are trying to destroy us. So we have the ability to do exactly what I'm talking about, to save our country. It is essentially encouraging and informing and educating, having conversations with the people around you in your life. What I often hear from people is, I love our country, but I feel like we're too far gone and I can't make a difference. That's not true at all. We are not too far gone. We have to save our country, and every one of us, every one of your listeners, don't underestimate your power of influence. Look at the people around you, your family, your friends, the people who you work with, the people who you go to school with, people who know you and trust you. Have a conversation about the things you care most about in our country. I'm not talking about left versus right or Democrat versus Republican. We've got to welcome everyone to the cause of freedom, this fight for freedom and our democracy that we are facing. So it's having those conversations and getting across to others the importance of this moment. It's getting out that vote, knocking on doors. It's using every tool available to actually get out and cast your vote. Don't just wait until Election Day. And yes, I know personally the issues with the integrity of our election system, but we have to understand this battle that we are facing and how the other side will use every tool available to them to get as many votes into those ballot boxes as possible, whether it's early voting or whether it's going out and, every state has different rules, but we've got to get out the vote, make sure that our voices are heard, both now through Election Day, and make sure that our voices are heard through the votes that are cast.
Tulsi Gabbard, my guest here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. You have, 5 events here in Milwaukee County, Dane County. There's one, Tulsi, that you are going to be at in Dane County, very, very important county. It is going to be Friday night. In addition, there is an event hosted by both the Milwaukee County GOP and the Waukesha County GOP. Go to those county GOP websites. Easiest way, just Google Dane County GOP, Milwaukee County GOP. Say that again? Oh, you know, my producer is telling me you've already got memorized where you're going to be, Tulsi. I've been trying to get, you're here so much. I'm like, wait, where is she going?
Yeah, people, please do go to your as you mentioned, the GOP websites. You can also go to tulsigabbard.com. I've got all the events listed that I'll be attending. I'm really looking forward to getting out and supporting your local leadership out there. We're also going to be with the Milwaukee Association of Commerce. Dale Koyenga is actually a friend of mine and a fellow Army Reserve officer and battalion commander. That'll be at the Milwaukee Athletic Club on Thursday at 11:30. I'd love to see as many of you as possible be able to say hello and just be a voice to encourage you. There's a lot of people, unfortunately, who are afraid to speak up, who are fearful of repercussions when we exercise our right to free speech. And we just have to stand together right now and know that you're not alone. Now is the time not for fear, but to take action inspired by the love that we have for our country, our freedom, and our fellow Americans.
Tulsi, thank you so much. I look forward to, unfortunately, I'm actually leaving for quite a bit tomorrow, so I'm not going to be able to meet you on Friday, but I do hope you'll be back in Wisconsin. Something tells me you will be, say, mid-July-ish.
We shall see, my friend. I look forward to meeting you either way.
All right, TulsiGabbard.com. Tulsi, thank you so much for being so generous with your time. I really do appreciate it.
Great talking to you. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. She is Tulsi Gabbard. I am Dan O'Donnell. We will have much more, including an executive order by President Biden just in time to try to turn around his polls, stop the flow of illegal immigrants.
Dan O'Donnell will be right back. keep listening for the next chance to win your way to our iHeartRadio Music Festival, presented by Capital One.
A weekend full of superstar performances this September.
Streaming live only on Hulu. Tickets go on sale Friday, June 14th.
But starting June 12th at 1 p.m. Eastern, Capital One cardholders get first access to tickets and other exclusive offers for 48 hours only or while pre-sale tickets last. Visit iHeartRadio.com/Capital One for more pre-sale details. What's in your wallet?
Hi, I'm Mike Madsen, owner of Color Wheel Painting. When you hire a painter, what are you really looking for? Is it straight lines? Good coverage? Is it really about quality painting? Or are those things just inherent expectations? Of course they are. Years ago, I figured it out. Color Wheel's success is about way more than the high-quality work we do. It's about you feeling safe and respected in your own home. It's about you trusting our geek-level expertise to do the work. It's about you receiving our courtesy around your family, being kind to your dog, and cleaning up well, because you don't need another mess. Ultimately, it's the experience, front to back and back again. And so, while there are a lot of people who can kind of paint, they can't do what Color Wheel does to make you feel great about every dollar you spend. There's only one Color Wheel Painting, so look no further. Remodelandpaint.com, that's remodelandpaint.com.
If you're someone who's experiencing shoulder, spine, hip, knee, or musculoskeletal pain, and a total joint replacement might be in your future, think Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Their physicians specialize in same-day total joint replacements at their own ambulatory surgery center. See orthowisconsin.com.
Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, where you'll get the industry's hands-down best lifetime workmanship warranty on your new roof. And now free annual inspections.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
All right, who's there for heroes or their families left behind when a service member or a first responder dies or is catastrophically injured in the line of duty? Who helps our country's homeless vets? I'll tell you who. It's the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Never forget the sacrifices of our country's greatest heroes. They're hoping all of us will donate $11 a month. Just go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org, the letter T, number 2, letter T.org for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
Well, that was something of a nice surprise on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Coordinating with Ms. Gabbard's people, I wasn't exactly sure what time she was going to be calling. I guess they wanted to just do it right away. We are nothing if we're not able to pivot. You might remember that a couple of weeks ago, we had a very big guest on the Dan O'Donnell Show who called as soon as the show started. I had a grand total of about 25 to 26 minutes notice, but it seemed like he ended up being a fan of the show.
Your show is a very important show, and it's a great show, and we appreciate it.
Let's now go live to Capitol Hill, where Attorney General Merrick Garland is testifying on accusations that he has weaponized government. And the most egregious example just in the past couple of weeks is the fact that he classified at the very highest level audio of President Joe Biden struggling mightily and appearing to be confused and mentally impaired in an interview with Special Counsel Robert Hur. Even though the transcripts, which are supposedly accurate of that interview, are readily available, the audio is not. In a blatant attempt to get around FOIA, Freedom of Information Act requests, what possible reason could there be for Garland to classify those tapes. Right now, Congressman Jerry Nadler questioning Garland and, in reality, sort of playing defense. We go now to Capitol Hill primarily because I just want to bask in Jerry Nadler's remarkable similarity in appearance to the Penguin.
Washington field office
without objection
clearly refutes characterizations that the FBI was involved in inciting violence on January 6th.
Without objection. The gentleman from...
I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record an excerpt from the special agent in charge of the FBI Boston field office in which he explains that conspiracies about the FBI causing the Capitol insurrection are false and concerning.
Without objection.
And finally, I ask unanimous consent to enter an excerpt from FBI Director Wray's testimony before this committee last July, where he states, quote, I will say this notion that somehow the violence at the Capitol on January 6th was part of some operation orchestrated by FBI sources and agents is ludicrous, and it's a disservice to our brave, hardworking, dedicated men and women. Close quote.
Without objection. The gentleman from Florida is recognized for 5 minutes.
Attorney General, you've told us that it's a dangerous conspiracy theory to allege that the Department of Justice is communicating with these state and local.
This is Matt Gaetz now questioning Merrick Garland. Right, Gaetz has been fantastic in these hearings, so we're going to stick with this for just a little bit.
All correspondence between the department and Alvin Bragg's office and Fonnie Willis's office and Letitia James's office.
The offices you're referring to are independent offices of state.
I get that. The question is whether or not you will provide all of your documents and correspondence. That's the question. I don't need a history lesson.
Well, I'm going to say again, we do not control those offices. They make their own decisions.
The question is whether you communicate with them, not whether you control them. Do you communicate with them, and will you provide those communications?
If you make a request, we'll refer it to our Office of Legislative Affairs.
But see, here's the thing. You come in here and you lodge this attack that it's a conspiracy theory, that there is coordinated lawfare against Trump. And then when we say, fine, just give us the documents, give us the correspondence, and then if it's a conspiracy theory, that will be evident. But when you say, well, we'll take your request, and then we'll sort of work it through the DOJ's accommodation process, then you're actually advancing the very dangerous conspiracy theory that you're concerned about. Now, you were a judge, once nominated the highest court in our country. When you were a judge, I'm just curious, did you ever make political donations to partisan candidates?
No.
No, and you didn't because that would create the potential appearance of impropriety.
I didn't because there's a federal rule barring federal judges from making contributions.
Right, but under that same theory of attacks on the judicial process, like, shouldn't someone be owed like a jury of their peers and a judge that's non-biased rather than getting a judge from your political opponent's donor file?
Well, I'm well aware that you're not asking a hypothetical. You're asking me to comment on a jury verdict in another jurisdiction which has to be respected. I won't comment on it. That case is still ongoing. The defendant
Mr. Attorney General, I hadn't asked you about the verdict yet. We were getting there. I was talking about the judge. And so let me ask you this question about your time as a judge. Was there ever a time when you were a judge when you had a family member who was personally profiting off of the notoriety of a case that was before your court?
Look, I'm going to say again, it's very clear you're asking me to comment on a case in another jurisdiction.
No, wait, hold on, Mr. Attorney General. Did you ever have a family member profit off of the notoriety of any case that you sat over?
Say again, you're asking
yes or no?
You're asking me to comment on a case currently.
Well, it seems you're connecting the dots, Mr. Attorney General. I'm just asking you as to a general principle, but you are aware that Judge Merchan's daughter was profiting off of this prosecution. You are aware that that creates the appearance of impropriety. You know the very reason there's a federal rule against judges giving donations is because it is the very attack on the judicial process that we're concerned about.
I'm sorry, I don't agree with anything you just said, but I'm not going to comment on it.
Okay, so you won't comment on it, Mr. Attorney General, but you had no problem dispatching Matthew Colangelo. Who's Matthew Colangelo?
That is false. I did not dispatch Matthew Colangelo.
Matthew Colangelo became the Assistant Attorney General at the very beginning of the Biden administration. Without having been Senate confirmed, goes and gets this senior role at the DOJ, and then after, I believe it's Gupta replaces Colangelo, Colangelo makes this remarkable downstream career journey from the U.S. Department of Justice in Washington, D.C., and then pops up in Alvin Bragg's office to go get Trump. And you're saying that's just a career choice that was made that has nothing to do with the lawfare coordinated by the DOJ.
I'm saying it's false. I did not dispatch Mr. Colangelo anywhere.
Well, do you know how he ended up there?
I assume he applied for a job there and got the job.
But see, you know what?
I tell you, I had nothing to do with it.
Well, you might not have had anything to do with it, but we've got this contemporaneous evidence in Mr. Pomerantz's book. So Pomerantz writes this book, which I'm sure you're aware of, where he says, we put together the legal eagles to get Trump. We got all these folks together and we assembled them for that purpose. And so when we on the Judiciary Committee think about attacks on the judicial process, our concern is that the facts and the law aren't being followed. A target is acquired, here, Trump, and then you assemble the legal talent from DOJ, Mr. Pomerantz, and you bring everybody in to get him. And meanwhile, the judge is making money on it. The judge is making money on it, or the judge's family's making money on it for stuff that you yourself wouldn't do. You know, no one's going to buy this. No one's going to believe it. It's going to create great disruption. And I am saddened by it because, like you, I have given my life to the law. I care deeply about the law. And I think that the lawfare we've seen against President Trump will do great damage well beyond our time in public service.
That is Congressman Matt Gaetz doing just an excellent job. And yes, Matthew Colangelo, the number 3 official, he wasn't just an assistant U.S. attorney somewhere in Florida. He was the number 3 official in the Department of Justice. This is a very prestigious, very high-paying job. And he quits just a couple of weeks after President Trump announces that he's going to run for president again. This is December of 2022. Trump announces in November. Colangelo quits the DOJ to go work on a case. He becomes a line prosecutor in Manhattan, focusing on white-collar crimes, to work on a case that had been derided for years within the very Manhattan District Attorney's Office as the zombie case, because it kept getting revived. It would die. They would work on it, realize there was no actual legal theory under which they could prosecute it. The DOJ itself passes on federal charges against Trump. The Federal Elections Commission passes on even issuing a fine. But under Colangelo and the district attorney Alvin Bragg, who, remember, also campaigned, he campaigned for the position in 2022 on a promise to get Trump, the case is revived once again, and within just a couple of months of Colangelo arriving from the DOJ to the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, the zombie case finally rises from the grave once more and eventually leads to a Trump conviction. And Garland has the audacity to say he had no idea any of this was going on, that Colangelo just sort of did this of his own accord, didn't even talk to his boss, that the number 3 official in the Department of Justice, it's not like this was the number 3 official in Herb's gas station and he's going to take a job at Amoco. This is the number 3 official in the Department of Justice, just sort of resigns without his boss ever knowing, to take a huge step down in his legal career. Makes sense to me. We have opening statements underway in the Hunter Biden gun trial, also President Biden's executive order on the budget, Keith Posley, and much, much more still to come on The Dan O'Donnell Show.
The Dan O'Donnell Show is coming right back.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
Attention well pump owners, do you have enough water pressure for your needs? Can you run 2 faucets at once without a problem? If you answered no to either of these questions, talk to an S&K Pump and Plumbing professional about a well pump checkout before you're left high and dry. They feature a full line of well pump equipment. Contact them at 262-784-HELP or SNKPump.com.
When it comes to water, one call does it all. SNK Pump and Plumbing.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for my great friends at Mander Collision and Glass. Now, with 6 locations to serve you, you hear me talk about how great Mander is, their work ethic, their customer service. Here's customer Hank. Took my Corvette in for a new windshield with camera in the glass. Their tech knew everything and did a great job. Everyone there was friendly and helpful. I loved the modern and very neat waiting area. Thank you, guys. Finally, even the bathroom was very clean. This is a very professional family-run business. When I need any more work done, I'm coming here. Peter, you're the best. He even brought this old man an armchair so I could sit and work on my laptop. The receptionist was very quick to say hello and knew everything about my job. Thank you. No, thank you, Hank, for reminding me and everyone about the Mander difference. Start your repair today at mandercollision.com. That's mandercollision.com. Dan O'Donnell here for CertaPro Painters, which provides excellent workmanship quality and a worry-free process for both residential and commercial spaces, all at the right price. You can trust them to get the job done right and safely. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated right here. Schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. When choosing a painting professional, the choice is simple. Choose happy. Choose CertaPro Painters.
Hugs from patients, like Patrick from here in Milwaukee. It's something QC Kinetics medical professionals experience every day.
I hugged them. You should hug somebody who does that for you. They gave me my life back, and I really didn't know where I was going to go because I was definitely afraid of having a knee replacement done.
No surgery, no downtime with QC Kinetics regenerative treatments. They give patients relief from joint pain using their own healing properties to repair and restore damaged tissue. And the results? Well, that's why we see a lot of hugs at QC Kinetics.
Everything is back that I thought I was never going to be able to do again. I'm still smiling, and sometimes it gets emotional. I get a tear in my eye because of how I was before I went in there.
Those smiles and hugs never get old at QC Kinetics. It means patients are finally getting relief. And now it's your turn. Call QC Kinetics today for your free consultation and see if you're a good candidate for these amazing treatments.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Sleep apnea is a serious condition. And the worst part about it is, because it affects you while you're sleeping, you don't know what this condition is doing to you.
And it was scary because I found out that I was waking up 145 times an hour. 145 times. I was scared. I wasn't getting the sleep I needed.
And that's the thing. Someone like John wakes up after thinking he's slept all night, and he's been feeling run down for years, and finally finds out something really is wrong. This is why, for us, solving sleep apnea problems is so gratifying, because we really are changing lives.
I've had more energy. I'm getting better sleep. I've been told from my wife I don't snore, but honestly, it changed my life.
This is Dr. Madan Kandula. Solving your breathing triangle problems means a better quality of life, and you deserve that.
Go to AdventKnows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Results may vary.
Gold demand is skyrocketing to record highs. As more Americans rush to preserve their savings, will there be enough gold? I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and I believe physical gold is the only way to truly protect your 401k or IRA savings. Gold offers tangible security that can't be tracked, stolen, or inflated. That's why I strongly advocate for gold IRAs. To learn more, text the word SECURE to 989898 now. Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust, and there are thousands of rave reviews prove I'm not alone. So don't wait another second. Protect your retirement savings today and see how easy it is to move your IRA or 401k into physical precious metals. Text SECURE to the number 989898 for your free gold IRA and info kit. Again, SECURE to 989898.
Message and data rates may apply.
I'm Maria Kondakova.
And I'm Nate Silver.
And our new podcast, Risky Business, is a show about making better decisions. We're both journalists who moonlight as poker players, and that's the lens we're going to use to approach this entire show.
We're going to be discussing everything from high-stakes poker to personal questions.
Like whether I should call a plumber or fix my shower myself.
And, of course, we'll be talking about the election.
Listen to Risky Business on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Risky Business.
What do I always say when it comes to polls, when it comes to analyzing the state of a presidential race, a Senate race, a gubernatorial race, pretty much any race, you look at polls, but you always want to gather as much possible data. And remember, the candidates are almost invariably polling constantly. They have rolling polling. Some are roly-poly candidates who have rolling polling averages, but they're constantly polling, especially at the presidential level, and they can see things that we don't. Oftentimes, the internal polls are far, far better, more accurate than the public polls. What you want to look at, though, is also candidate behavior, because that's a data point that you can take a look at to get a better state of the race idea, where things actually stand. Today, President Biden making a big splash in an executive order on the border tells me all I need to know about where he thinks the state of the race is right now. So far, the biggest data point that we've had that Biden thinks he's losing, and losing by enough that he's got to essentially throw a Hail Mary. Do you think Biden's team wants him out speaking and debating Trump for 45 minutes to an hour and a half? No. Why is he doing it? Have you ever heard in your lifetime of a general election presidential debate in June? No. Have you ever heard of one before September? Also no. Why is that happening? President Biden for months has also said, and his handlers have said, and pretty much the Democratic line has been, well, President Biden can't do anything through executive action on the border because he needs an act of Congress in order to fund whatever it is he does. Remember, the talking point was that Republicans rejected the single best border bill that we could have possibly had. It was the strongest border security measure in 2 decades. It actually wasn't. And in fact, Republicans had a bill that was much, much better just a year earlier, which was summarily rejected in the Senate. Biden could act, and he did act, issuing a flurry of executive orders within the first couple of hours of his presidency in January of 2021. Clearly, he can act now. In fact, as we have over and over and over reminded you, the Immigration Act allows President Biden, he has unilateral authority to shut down the border anytime he determines that there's an emergency. The president can do essentially whatever he needs to on the border without an overt act of Congress, provided, of course, there is an actual emergency and provided that there is a national defense, national security component to it, which I would argue there is, because, frankly, we have had millions of people coming across the border. We have no idea who they are. They are overrunning cities to the point where, do you realize in New York City, something like 135 different hotels across New York City, there's maybe 600, 700 hotels in New York, 135 are hosting illegal immigrants. That's unsustainable, and that's just one small aspect of what goes into the cost of housing and feeding and taking care of people who are just flooding across the southern border, to say nothing of the very real national security threat that an open border poses. Now, President Biden isn't going to shut down the border. To be sure, this is an obvious goal of the administration, to get as many people here and on a pathway to voting, or, a pathway to citizenship. They have been telling us this overtly for 20 years. That eventually immigration, both legal and illegal, will change the demographic face of this country and provide them with what they called about 10, 15 years ago, until Trump sort of busted that narrative, the permanent Democrat majority. Much more on this coming up next. Plus, we name the unhinged liberal of the day. Stay tuned.
Follow Dan on Facebook, facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show. Dan O'Donnell will be right back.
Hey, it's Dan O'Donnell for the Lynch family of dealerships. Let freedom ring during Lynch's month-long Memorial Day sales event going on right now. Receive $2,250 trade assistance on top of Kelley Blue Book's fair trade value on any in-stock vehicle. Looking for a new Chevy, GMC, Ford, or Ram pickup? Start your summer road trip with a bang in your new pickup. Receive a $1,000 gift card on any in-stock brand new truck purchased from the Lynch family of dealerships. That's right, $2,250 in trade assistance on your old car and an additional $1,000 gift card when you buy a new pickup truck only at Lynch this month. Receive these great deals and buy from a dealership that truly takes care of you after the sale with Lynch Protected, covering your windshield, tires, and paint. That also includes a 3-month, 3,000-mile certified warranty. See dealer for details. Start your summer road trip now at shoplynch.com.
Do you have a rotted wood window, foggy or broken glass, having a hard time opening your sliding door? Argo Glass and Windows can fix it all, saving the original look and your budget. Call us today and get a free estimate from Argo, where we repair first, replace at worst. Your one-stop window and door problem solver. Call us at 262-372-7110. That's 262-372-7110. Argo Glass and Windows, 262-372-7110.
Hi, it's John Reitz from Great Midwest Bank, and as a community bank, we sincerely appreciate our customer loyalty. Over nearly 90 years, we've done all we can to return the favor. Great Midwest Bank offers flexible solutions that bigger banks and credit unions simply can't, because our entire team is right here in the community. We love helping our neighbors when we're at work and then catching up over the weekend. Visit us at greatmidwestbank.com. Great Midwest Bank, your simply local equal housing lender.
Well, that's why you have to check out our website. We're pretty proud of our before and after photos because they show off just how good we really are. I can confidently say that whatever you bring us, we're going to use every bit of magic we have to turn it into a one-of-a-kind work of art. So if you're looking for the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY, finishing.com. If it's worth restoring, we're going to tell you. If it's not worth the cost of restoring, then we're going to give you an honest answer. You don't stay in the furniture finishing business for nearly 50 years unless you're honest and talented. Luckily, we're both. And that means all of your expectations will be met. So if you want only the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts.
Picture taking your first steps into your brand new home. What do you see? Whether it's cooking meals in your 5-star kitchen or practicing downward dog in your sunroom, Belinsky Homes can handle it all. At Belinsky Homes, we know each lifestyle calls for unique home essentials. That's why we've been designing distinct and deliberate floor plans for over 60 years. Considering every last inch of space, we build new homes ready to adapt to your life's needs. Visit Belinsky.com today to find your right fit. Belinsky Homes, built for life.
At Uline, they know going the extra mile takes hard work. For companies pushing to go further, Uline will go the distance with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business can move fast. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, and changing economic trends. Uline works hard keeping 41,000 items ready to ship, minimizing detours on your way to the extra mile. Visit uline.com.
The doctor's office that mixed up your files has your Social Security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info and last 3 addresses. Your info is in endless places that could accidentally expose your info to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Do you know you need a new roof? Of course you do. For award-winning service and a free consultation, visit Klaus Roofing Systems by BuckBuckley.com. And remember, put a Klaus on your house.
The Milwaukee Admirals are down 0-2 in a best-of-7 Western Conference Final Series to Coachella Valley. The Admirals return home for Game 3 Tuesday night. Top of the right circle, feeds it left. Westbrook scores! Pre-game coverage at 6:30, face-off at 7 p.m.
iHeartRadio.
Welcome back. Dan O'Donnell coming up in the 10 o'clock hour. The resignation of Dr. Keith Posley is frankly just the tip of the iceberg that has been the good ship MPS has been running into for, 30 years now? 40? 50? It's been a rough go of it for Milwaukee Public Schools. We will get into that. Plus, the big testimony yesterday from Dr. Anthony Fauci finally admitting, to my knowledge, the first time he admitted that the NIH was actually funding the research into SARS-CoV-2 viruses through a grant to EcoHealth Alliance at the Wuhan Institute of Virology that totally didn't spark the COVID-19 pandemic. Absolutely not. Before we get into any of that, though, time now to name the unhinged liberal of the day.
Make me crazy.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany. Make me crazy.
All white people are racist.
Does that make me crazy?
Trump is dangerous because he's evil. America is over.
For the second straight day this week, today's unhinged liberal of the day comes from The View. Hard to top yesterday, Joy Behar admitting that she, quote, leaked a little bit because she was so excited about the Trump guilty verdict. But Whoopi Goldberg on yesterday's show said Cuban Americans are stupid if they vote for Donald Trump because he's going to be just like Fidel Castro or something.
All my life, I have heard the Cuban people say, we never want to see that. We're going to make sure it never happens here. How can they not recognize when the man says, I'm going to be this guy? What are we missing?
The fact that he's not going to nationalize businesses, impose a brutal communist regime. Look, Cuban Americans fleeing the oppressiveness of the Castro regime for decades came to America and started voting Republican because they recognized that one of the two political parties was a little uncomfortably friendly with socialist regimes, most notably the Soviet Union at the time, but also embodied certain characteristics of a sort of neo-socialism that they called democratic socialism that Cubans knew all too well. Whoopi Goldberg, for saying this recognition and their penchant for voting Republican makes them not quite as smart or possibly hypocrites, makes her your unhinged liberal of the day. We have got a pair of tickets to give away right now to the Goo Goo Dolls, reserved seats. And yes, you can go and see the Goo Goo Dolls in the back of the stage at the BMO Harris Pavilion with just a ticket to Summerfest. But these are reserved seats. They're right in the front. They're the best seats in the house. Trust me, you want these. Plus, they're absolutely free. We'll give them away to caller number 17. Right now, caller number 17 wins a pair of tickets to go see the Goo Goo Dolls at the BMO Harris Pavilion during Summerfest, June 22nd. 414-799-1130 is our AdventNews.com talk and text line. You can also reach us toll free, 1-800-838-9476. Caller number 17. Also, okay, Dave wants me to give you a little caveat. They're not right in the front, but they are fantastic seats. You're going to get a good view of Johnny Resnick and the boys playing all their hits. That I can absolutely promise you with 100% certainty. I do also want to remind you, do not text the iHeartRadio Music Festival Flyaway Contest to the AdventNews.com talk and text line. We had a number of you doing that. I know it's been a while since we did a text contest, but you've got to text the word to 200-200. Your next chance to win is going to be at 1 o'clock. We're playing at 9, 1, and 5 p.m. each day. So just one chance to win during the Dan O'Donnell Show, then another during Clay and Buck, and another in the afternoon as well. Congratulations to Nathan, the winner of our Goo Goo Dolls tickets. Dan O'Donnell Show coming right back after this.
News that's factual, fair, and balanced. This is continuing coverage on News Talk 1130 WISN, Milwaukee.
Good morning, I'm Tad Allen. The superintendent of Milwaukee Public Schools has resigned. Keith Posley reached his decision early this morning following an hours-long closed session with the city school board. Posley's action came after the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction sent a letter which said the state could withhold funds from the district for months overdue financial records. A heated MPS school board meeting last night had several people speaking out about Posley. That included Milwaukee Alderman Scott Spiker.
The financial house was not in order. And where I come from at the city, you hold somebody responsible for that.
The board will immediately begin the search for an interim superintendent while they also bring in an external financial consultant. The UW Board Regent who planned to stay beyond his term's expiration has stepped aside. According to WisPolitics, Bob Atwell has resigned, effective immediately. Atwell sent UW officials an email last month expressing his intent to remain on the board until his successor is appointed and confirmed. Friday, Governor Tony Evers announced his appointment of attorney Tim Nixon to succeed Atwell on the board. Atwell, who was appointed to the board by Republican Governor Scott Walker, commented that the appointment of Nixon would, in his words, serve our universities exceptionally well. A dangerous heat wave is set to hit the West this week, with California, Arizona, and southern Nevada possibly seeing record-setting temperatures. High temperatures today could reach up to 108 degrees and possibly top out at around 112 degrees later on this week. Checking the WISN Sports Scoreboard, the Brewers and Phillies are at it again tonight in Philadelphia. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Ted Allen on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
Most companies advertise trying to win over their customers with platitudes and even using flashy statements. It's the constant barrage of messaging, and they can even seem desperate. Hi, I'm Mike Madsen, owner of Color Wheel Painting, and today I'd like to flip the script on this one. Let me tell you about the kind of customers that choose us. Our clients are savvy. They've learned that not every company is the same. Our clients expect excellent customer service. They want upstanding, presentable, and personable people in their home. They want to know that if they leave, their home will be safe, not robbed. They want to know that the premium products and process they are paying for is what they actually get. And they want a company that will rise to any challenge and come back if it has to. So, if you're the type of client to choose us, give us a call. We'd love to help. Cabinet painting, workshop services, interior painting, wallpaper install, and more. That's Color Wheel Painting. Remodelandpaint.com.
Here's your chance for bonus days to save. Window Nation semi-annual sale's been extended now through the end of June. 50% off all windows and no interest for 5 years. 866-90-NATION or windownation.com.
Here's the latest forecast from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Partly cloudy skies today, warm and humid with temperatures in the low to mid 80s. Showers and thunderstorms will develop during the afternoon and evening, some of which could be strong to severe. I'm Fox 6 meteorologist Lisa Michaels.
This report is sponsored by Unbeep Your Life Show.
Hey guys, it's your favorite psychotherapist, Anita Astley. Join me every Sunday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. and let me help you unbeep your life and relationships. An hour dedicated to helping you untangle some of those relationship knots on News Talk 1130 WISN. Don't miss out, friends.
It was a doozy, all right. Apparently, things got a little out of hand, as evidenced by the job description.
Repair heel marks on conference table.
You get the picture. Office party, a few too many drinks, and a gal who felt compelled to use the top of the conference table as a dance floor. And as you expected, we showed up on site and made that tabletop as good as new. By golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com. Well, if you haven't heard me bragging by now, we're darn good. Actually, my dad has no qualms about saying we're the best. And if you're skeptical, I understand. But all you have to do is go to MullallyFinishing.com to learn why we're great at what we do and see lots of before and after photos that show off our impressive work. So if you're looking for a name you can trust, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com.
For safe, purified water right from your faucet, the solution is crystal clear.
Any project, big or small, when it comes to Water One, call does it all. S&K, pump and plumbing.
How long have you been living with that joint pain? You're calling it an old sports injury or just old age, but you just don't have to live with it. Jay Weber here saying it took me too long to figure that out. If you're someone who's experiencing spine or musculoskeletal pain or shoulder, hip, or knee pain, think Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. They're the doctors and techs that I trust with my shoulder problems. I've had issues for years, and there's not enough damage to warrant surgery, so Ortho Wisconsin helps me manage the pain. Their clinicians, physicians, and surgeons are committed to providing the highest quality joint care and handle everything from simple strains and tears to sports injuries to managing degenerative diseases to complex joint replacements. In fact, Orthopedic Associates specializes in same-day total joint replacements at their ambulatory surgery center in Pewaukee, and lesser treatments like physical therapy can be done at the Pewaukee, Brookfield, and New Berlin locations. Based on my experiences, you will be impressed with Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin and their staff. You can find them at orthowisconsin.com. orthowisconsin.com. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
The doctor's office that mixed up your files has your Social Security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info and last 3 addresses. Your info is in endless places that could accidentally expose your info to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
News Talk 1130 WISN. Be sure to listen to the Annex Wealth Management Investment Show Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday afternoons at 1 on News Talk 1130 WISN. Annex provides its expertise to arm listeners with the knowledge and tools to invest wisely. Annex Wealth Management. Know the difference.
Cheer on the USA and listen to iHeartRadio, the exclusive audio home of NBC's coverage of the 2024 Paris Olympics.
Once again, congratulations to Nathan from Kiel for winning our pair of tickets to go see the Goo Goo Dolls at Summerfest, the BMO Harris Pavilion. For those who were noticing that there was something blue in the corner of my screen on the Dano Cam, Summerfest has come through with their annual swag bag for media members, and sure, I'll indulge them. I've got a Summerfest fanny pack. No, I'm not going to wear a fanny pack, producer Dave. I've got a Summerfest friendship bracelet. And let's see. That's pretty much it. And a Summerfest schedule. I mean, it's a cool fanny pack. I can't see myself wearing a fanny pack. Yeah, black socks with my Crocs, fanny pack, some big aviator sunglasses. Do you think there's some tickets in there? I'm not seeing any Summerfest tickets, Dave. Dave was told there were Summerfest tickets. I didn't get any. I'm sure we've got some. I guarantee we're giving away like 500 of them. So I'm not worried about Summerfest tickets. There are going to be some very, very cool acts that are playing the big gig this year. Motley Crue headlining on the 21st. You've got Kane Brown. That first weekend, I think, frankly, is the best. Did I mention OAR? Yeah, I'm a big OAR fan. Do I want to go? What weekend? The first weekend. Let's see. That Friday night, the 21st. I'm not seeing. Oh, yeah, I'm on the Thursday night. Yeah, you've got OAR. Ooh, En Vogue. Hanson is going to be there that night as well, too. I mean, it's a pretty good lineup. Los Lobos. If you want an underrated act, I'm not sure how many of the original Lobos are in Los Lobos, but I saw them years ago when they were here. It had to be like 10, 15 years ago. And that you had tickets in yours? Are you kidding me? Oh, is it in the fanny pack? Oh, look, there's more stuff. They've got official Summerfest earplugs, as well as a Summerfest keychain thing. And should I just leave it outside the studio if anybody wants this stuff? I do have Summerfest tickets. You want it? Well, no, I'll use the Summerfest tickets. I'm sure. I'm talking about the fanny pack and stuff. I can't see myself. I'm just being totally honest. I do thank Summerfest. I would say CEO Don Smiley, but he's been gone for a while. Yeah, Sarah Pinchari Smith. I should probably learn that since she's going to be a big player in Milwaukee politics and culture for quite some time. Second week, I am super excited of Summerfest. What? Yes, I have. Why Don Smiley is getting the heat for his salary? Because I don't know. Because we need an old white guy to rip on periodically. That's why I am aware, Dave. He's now retired. You have got on the second weekend my picks Eve 6 at 4:15 on Thursday. They are tremendous. They do one of my absolute favorite songs. It's called Here's to the Night. They're like a 90s, 2000s hard rock band, and they are tremendous. Oh, Slater Kinney is also going to be at the Uline Warehouse. Yes, I am just looking through this little brochure I got from Summerfest. Thank you very much. Would it really be a Summerfest? It's, the philosophical question that Belling always asks: if a tree falls in the wood. Oh, my uncle he's called dibs on the Summerfest fanny pack. He says, Aunt Sharon needs a fanny pack. Okay, I'm like, okay, Uncle Steve, you get dibs on the fanny pack. Belling has this philosophical question. If a tree falls in the woods and nobody's around, does it make a sound? And he answers philosophically, no, it doesn't, because sound requires someone to hear it. I take the scientific approach. Of course it makes a sound, because the process of a tree falling will be the exact same whether or not anyone is there. So the question isn't, does it actually, you're not actually asking whether it makes a sound, because it does make a physical sound. The question is more philosophical. Here's my philosophical question. If there's a Summerfest and REO Speedwagon doesn't play, was it really a Summerfest at all? It's the same thing with Pat McCurdy. If there's no Pat McCurdy, was it actually Summerfest? What do we got? The 4th of July weekend, you've got Maroon 5. They always put on a really good show. I know Maroon 5 is one of the, you either love them or you hate them. I don't think there's anybody who's indifferent to Maroon 5. They're one of these bands that just has very strong opinions. July 4th, AJR is the big headliner. Yeah, pretty strong lineup this year, I will say. Yeah, Keith Urban is going to be there. Now, my favorite, Black Violin, I've been looking for them. I thought they were Friday the 21st, but admittedly, I'm not exactly sure. I thought they were playing at the Briggs & Stratton Big Backyard, but I guess not. Let's see here. I'm sure this is scintillating radio. June 21st. They are playing Friday, June 21st. I am not seeing them on this. Oh, yeah, there they are. Uline Warehouse, 5:30. Well, what do you think? Dave, you go with me to Black Violin at 5:30, and then OAR, we stay for OAR at 10 p.m. Dave says he's not kidding. Let's actually plan that. Anybody else want to come? You're off that Saturday? Okay, you're filling in for Jay that morning, so you'll be out that. I think I've got nothing going on. Let's do it. We might have to bring some kids to go see Black Violin, but two of the three kids. I'm taking a wild guess. My 16-year-old is going to say that that's lame. I think I've told this story before. That was the very first concert I ever took those boys to, and an incredible security guard. It was on the Johnson Controls World Sound Stage. The boys were very little. This was 6-7 years ago or so, and we took them, and, I didn't want them. I didn't know how big the crowd was going to be. I didn't want Christopher was, I think, 5 years old. Nick was probably 8 or 9 or something like that. And I didn't want them to be mixed in if there was, a big crowd. Turns out there wasn't. But I asked the security guard, I'm like, hey, there's this little area in the front. Where can we buy tickets for that? And the guy kind of looks around and he just motions for us to come in. So we're literally on the stage watching the opening act. The security guard goes and gets the kids soda. He gets me a beer. I've never seen, this guy was absolutely tremendous. Then Black Violin, the two guys, they're a pair of best friends from grade school who play violins. They're a couple of black dudes, and they transcend actually a song called Stereotypes that, urban black males shouldn't play classical music, and they bust those stereotypes. It's just incredible guys. They, along with their entire backup band, came out, and I happened to mention, I'm like, hey, these boys are both violinists too. They both took their time, took pictures with us, and were just incredibly kind. Then they gave the kids a shout out during the show. We sat in the front row. It was the most amazing first concert I think two little boys could ever have. And that's, that's the thing about Summerfest. That's why it's so deeply ingrained, I think, in Milwaukee and Wisconsin culture, because everybody's got a story about, something like that, like something cool happened to Summerfest. Yes, I'm not naive. A lot of bad stuff happens with Summerfest. You get 100,000 people, or however many they used to cram into that park every single night, and they're all drinking since like 4 p.m. Bad stuff's going to happen, okay? There were issues with the Midway area, which was replaced actually with the BMO Harris Pavilion, because there are always fights. There are always issues there. It's a big event. There's going to be issues, but there are just so many cool things that come out of it. I have been a massive fan of Summerfest since, do you know the first concert I ever went to down at Summerfest? I can still remember it. It was, I want to say 1996. I was like 14 years old. Red Hot Chili Peppers? No, think local band. Not the Bodines. Not as big as the Bodines. Think about 14-year-old Dan O'Donnell, Citizen King, producer Dave. And who was opening? Only real ones will get this one. Not the Violent Femmes. It was another local band. They never really had national success, and they've reunited a couple of times since breaking up. The Little Blue Crunchy Things. If you remember Little Blue Crunchy Things, you are a true Milwaukee kid from the 90s. Citizen King had a big hit with the song Better Days in either 1998 or 1999, but they were huge in the Milwaukee underground music scene forever. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, they're from Waukesha, technically. And they were always unfairly derided as a one-hit wonder. I thought the band was fantastic.
In my shoes, my toes are busted. My kitchen says my bread is molded.
Yeah, everybody knows this song. I mean, this song was everywhere for like 4 or 5 months.
And the whole 1 foot getting people with a broken mirror and a...
Yeah, I played this on WKTI when I was spinning the hits of the 80s, 90s, and today.
I'm faded, black busted, been jaded, I've been dusted. I know that I've seen better days. 1 foot in the hole.
I mean, it was sort of a precursor to the rap rock we had in the late 90s, early 2000s. It was much more melodic. Here we go.
I've seen better days. I've been star of many plays. I've seen better days. And the bottom drops out.
All right, you can drop that down. Texts coming in. Okay, Dan, STFU about Summerfest. Yes, now it is. He said, I'm leaving. Other things are calling. Okay, I get it. we've also, yes. Citizen King, bunch of communists. All right, is that better? I have no idea what their political leanings are. Many more people are saying little blue crunchy things. Yes, the song Florence, we used to love that song. Yeah, my brother played that at a high school talent show, and I'll never forget that. The Invaders, great ska band from the 1990s. Little known fact, their lead singer, great friend of the Dan O'Donnell Show. Anytime they decide to reunite, you'd better believe that I will be there. I saw them many, many times. All right. Stroll down memory lane is complete. Let's go a little more recent in the old memory bank, shall we? One of the few things that Dr. Anthony Fauci could actually remember during his testimony yesterday was, hey, oh, yeah, you remember when I denied that the NIH and specifically my NIAID funded the research from EcoHealth Alliance that was sort of offshored to the Wuhan Institute for Virology. It just happened to be research into SARS-CoV-2 viruses, and a massive global pandemic just happened to emerge with a SARS-CoV-2 virus from that exact same city. Yeah, we totally funded that. 2-minute exchange here.
There's a difference between the viruses that were funded by the NIH subaward versus anything else anybody else in China might be doing.
Excellent.
We were talking about, did the NIH...
You were talking about what you funded.
What we funded, and
all right.
That's the point.
And that goes to my next question, because I thought you might go there, and I appreciate that.
Right.
Because in an off-the-record member-level briefing in February of 2022, I asked about the likelihood and nature of a SARS-related coronavirus to have a furin cleavage site, particularly since it takes the 12 nucleotide change in there to make it as viral as this was going on. And at the time, you said to me pretty much what you just said, and I want you to just confirm it for the record. Well, that wasn't us. If that was being done, it wasn't us. Yeah. And you confirmed that for the record, yes?
No,
it wasn't you. It wasn't what you were funding.
What I'm saying is that I cannot account, nor can anyone account, for other things that might be going on in China, which is the reason why I have always said and will say now, I keep an open mind as to what the origin is. But the one thing I know for sure is that the viruses that were funded by the NIH phylogenetically could not be the precursor of SARS-CoV-2.
Do you think they could have done it without the humanized mice that we gave them?
Could have done what, sir?
Could they have done any other research with the humanized mice that we gave them? Would they be successful? China didn't have the humanized mice before we gave them to Wuhan. Isn't it accurate that they might have been able to do extra stuff with our mice?
Sorry, sir. That's a hypothetical that I can't really answer what they could have.
But you can't say it couldn't have happened either. I yield back.
You want me to prove a negative?
It's a pretty big admission, especially when you consider that this guy was vehemently denying this for how long? And now there's ample evidence that he or someone in his employ was instructing NIH staffers to intentionally misspell words so as to avoid FOIA detection. And this is a major, major scandal. Not to mention, I mean, like, throw aside for a second the fact that this research caused a massive global pandemic that killed millions of people. The fact that you have a direct attempt to get around a ban on so-called gain-of-function research in the United States under the Obama administration, because the Obama administration recognized how dangerous this was when you're intentionally mutating viruses to see how they would mutate in the wild. This was something that Dr. Fauci was a big proponent of. In fact, he actually wrote a Washington Post or Wall Street Journal, I think it was Washington Post op-ed, saying we need to do gain-of-function research to attempt to get around that ban by secretly funneling money to a nonprofit and then intentionally trying to cover up the fact that this was being done. All the while lying to Congress about whether or not it was being done. And I still maintain, he said once again, no, we still think it came in the wild. Give me a break. We demonstrated this with now former Congressman Mike Gallagher. The bats that carried that specific type of the SARS-CoV-2 virus were in the caves of Hunan, which were something like 100 miles away from Wuhan. So in order to believe the natural origin theory, and remember, the myth got into the public consciousness almost immediately that it was a guy from this wet market that ate bat soup, and that he got sick. And in fact, within a couple of weeks, we knew this wasn't the case. So in order to believe, because of the signature, the viral signature of this particular SARS-CoV-2 virus, because of that, the only place that the bats who carried this specific type of virus lived were the Hunan caves. Now, you could either believe that the lead researcher on the SARS-CoV-2 research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, who was pictured collecting bat specimens at those very caves, brought those bat specimens back to the lab. They didn't use adequate safety protection and protocols, and accidentally a couple of researchers who, by the way, in October of 2019 presented at a hospital in Wuhan with symptoms identical to the signature of the COVID-19 virus months later. Or you could believe that those bats naturally migrated from the caves all the way to Wuhan, going 100 miles, but stopping nowhere else and causing no other infections along the way, where after a 100-mile journey well outside of the normal migratory patterns of bats, they stopped in Wuhan, they were killed, they were made into bat soup, or they bit somebody, or however this natural transmission occurred. It never made any sense. But God bless him, Fauci's sticking to that story. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show. We'll be right back.
Classical conservatism, contemporary style.
The Dan O'Donnell Show. We'll be right back.
This is Michael Lynch from Lynch Truck Center. For the first time ever, Lynch Truck Center is having a massive construction sale on over 400 in-stock trucks, which include Chevrolet, GMC, Hino, and Isuzu. You will not want to miss it. We're adding parking, 7 more truck bays, and expanded parts storage, so we can better serve you, our customer. Did you know our experienced sales staff sold more Chevrolet medium-duty trucks and cab overs than all the other dealers in the state combined? With their knowledge on upfits, combined with our service department, we deliver turnkey vehicles for your business, including the right body for your application, bin packages, and even lettered when it's delivered right to your door. As a business owner, has managing your fleet grown into a full-time job? Our fleet department can help. We provide a free fleet analysis which guides you when to trade, help track expenses for maintenance, fuel, and even vehicle tracking. You'll be shocked on the money and time you can save, not to mention having new vehicles under warranty. Visit LynchTruckCenter.com and give us a shot. We won't disappoint you.
A recent guest on the Dan O'Donnell Show also seems to be a fan of the program.
You're a good man, and because you have a very successful show. A lot of people don't get called. I will tell you, your show is a very important show, and it's a great show, and we appreciate it.
Donald Trump, right on immigration, right on the border, right on the economy, and right on who to listen to in Milwaukee. That would be Dan O'Donnell, weekdays 9 to 11 on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
I'm Jim Cantrell, and I believe we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to financialstrategiesinc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
When you're due for tire service, visit richlands.com for the location nearest you.
We'll give you a free flat tire repair on every tire we install. No questions asked. I'm Brett Matchke with Richlands. You're due for service.
The doctor's office that mixed up your files has your Social Security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info and last 3 addresses. Your info is in endless places that could accidentally expose your info to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for health care can save the typical family $500 a month. And that's huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. So maybe you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're much happier with. Here's the number you need. 844-53-BIBLE. That's 844-53-BIBLE.
Breaking news from the Wisconsin Department of Justice, where Attorney General Josh Kaul has just filed criminal charges against attorneys working for the Donald Trump campaign in the supposed fake electors scheme. Jim Troupis, former Dane County judge, frequent guest on the Vicki McKenna show, Kenneth Chesborough, a Wisconsin native, and according to the totally fair, unbiased article in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, lead architect of the 2020 fake elector plan, and Mike Roman, a former Trump aide who allegedly delivered Wisconsin's slate of false elector paperwork to a Pennsylvania congressman's staffer in order to get them to Vice President Pence on January 6th, 2021. All three are being charged with felony forgery. I don't know how many different ways I can say there was absolutely nothing illegal. These were not fake electors. If Josh Kaul, anyone from his office, any attorney wants to debate this point with me, any liberal ever wants to debate this point with me, please, by all means, call in. The adventknows.com talk and text line is open. 414-799-1130 or 1-800-838-9476. There is ample precedent, most notably and most recently in 1960, when an alternate slate of electors for John F. Kennedy in the state of Hawaii was actually presented because of the fear of a miscount. Now, it didn't matter because of totally not vote fraud in Illinois and Texas. John F. Kennedy had already clinched enough electoral votes to defeat Richard Nixon in the 1960 presidential election, but Nixon was initially declared to be the winner of Hawaii's electoral votes. The Kennedy campaign disputed this, and the proper remedy under federal law is to present an alternate slate of electors just in case a judge or a recount or something would change the outcome of the election. Because the Electoral College has to meet at a legally specified date, the only way you can essentially change the outcome is to have an alternate slate. That alternate slate, in fact, for John F. Kennedy was selected as the slate of electors changing the outcome in Hawaii. Nobody knows about this because it didn't change the outcome of the presidential election at all, but the precedent was set. At the time the quote-unquote fake electors met, first of all, they didn't meet in secret, as was alleged. There was a press release announcing that they were going to be meeting at the state capitol. In addition to this, there was an active Supreme Court case. There was a U.S. Supreme Court case. Well, there was a federal case. There was also a state case. Actually, no, I take that back. The case was filed with the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Eventually, the United States Supreme Court denied cert. They didn't review the U.S. or the Wisconsin Supreme Court's decision in that. But when the quote-unquote fake electors met, the question about whether or not Wisconsin's outcome in the election was going to be overturned was still very much in doubt. It was later that afternoon, I believe December 14th, 2020, if memory serves, that the Supreme Court, with Brian Hagedorn siding with the court's three liberals, naturally rejected the Trump appeals, the Trump campaign's appeal, its arguments, and said, okay, it's over. We also had a recount that was done sometime before that. But the outcome of the election was in doubt. The Wisconsin Supreme Court theoretically could have reversed the outcome of the election and awarded Wisconsin's 10 electoral votes to Donald Trump. What would happen in that case? Would they have to use the electors that were picked by Joe Biden, all Democrats? Those electors would simply cast their ballots for Biden instead of Trump. There needed to be an alternate slate of electors. This isn't an automatic thing. You're not automatically awarded electoral votes. Electors are actual people who actually go meet at a public place, in this case, the Wisconsin Capitol, and cast their electoral votes. If there is not the legal ability to have an alternate slate of electors, then there is no meaningful ability to challenge the results of a presidential election. This is a ridiculous set of charges. It deserves to be immediately dismissed by a judge, but because, of course, I didn't even read in the story. It didn't say where this was charged. I'm just going to take a wild guess in Dane County. It's not going to be overturned on appeal, and frankly, it's probably not going to be, of course, Dane County. Producer Dave was checking out that article. It's going to go all the way up to the Wisconsin Supreme Court, and frankly, I believe the conviction there is going to stand. Could the U.S. Supreme Court get involved? Yes, it absolutely could, because I believe this is a deliberate misinterpretation of American constitutional law and federal statute, which, it allows for the alternate slate of electors for a losing candidate to be convened. This doesn't mean that the Congress has to accept that alternate slate of electors and count those votes. It's in the event that the outcome is overturned. Seriously, nobody wants to debate this point with me, and that should be proof positive that there really is no argument here. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. We'll be back in just a second.
Your home is where your heart is, and it deserves the best, especially when it comes to windows. Marvin is the premier manufacturer of made-to-order windows, offering unparalleled value with craftsman-quality construction, energy-efficient technology, and the industry's most extensive selection of shapes, styles, sizes, and options. And now, they're pre-staining their products, too. For more than a century, they've never compromised on quality, and the fact that they're family-owned means they take pride in their products. And that's why we like them, and why Marvin Replacement Windows is our lead brand, because the quality will not let you down. And after over 50 years of having seen it all in the window business, I'd like to think our endorsement of this fine product means something. Marvin Windows, built around you. This is David Wilhelm, and for the area's largest selection of Marvin Replacement window options, your clear choice for more is Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
Your clear choice for more, Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
Dan O'Donnell here. It's This Week with Annex Wealth Management. I'm joined by Chief Economist Brian Jacobson from Annex, who's seeing signs in the nation's economy of a potential slowdown. No, we're not talking about the dreaded R word, recession. We're not talking about a hard landing or a soft landing. But it seems, Brian, maybe we are finally seeing something approaching a landing for this economy?
That's right. Yeah, it's really, I think that's a good way to really phrase it, is that it is somewhat of a landing. It's actually getting to a more sustainable pace of economic activity. If you think back last year, all the numbers were surprising to the upside, both for inflation and for growth. And now we're beginning to see some early signs that growth is getting to a more sustainable pace. Personal consumption expenditures actually went negative when you adjust for the high level of prices in the month of April. Real disposable income also somewhat negative in April. We saw the ISM manufacturing numbers come back down below 50, which means that the manufacturing sector is back into somewhat of a contraction territory. So there are a number of signs saying that the almost sugar high that we had in 2023 is giving way to a little bit more reality and a sustainable pace of economic activity here in 2024.
And with that as sort of a backdrop, that we think we're starting to see a little bit of a slowdown, but also in a presidential election year where you could have an abrupt change in tax policy and other fiscal policy if President Trump wins another term, if Republicans retake control of the Congress. It's a good time to really understand what it is you own and why you own it, because after a couple of years of unsurpassed growth, maybe the winds are changing just a little. That's why you need to head to annexwealth.com and get a wealth metric, a review of your portfolio. For Brian Jacobson, I'm Dan O'Donnell. This has been This Week with Annex Wealth Management.
Hot summer night, lightning strike. Down goes the tree, right through their bedroom wall, nearly ruining a walnut headboard, which is pretty hard wood. Fortunately, the customers were okay. But the headboard? That wasn't. Until they called us. We made that Victorian headboard better than new. So if you're looking for the finest in furniture finishing, repair, and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. Well, if you haven't heard me bragging by now, we're darn good. Actually, my dad has no qualms about saying we're the best. And if you're skeptical, I understand. But all you have to do is go to MullallyFinishing.com to learn why we're great at what we do and see lots of before and after photos that show off our impressive work. So if you're looking for a name you can trust, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY Finishing.com.
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services, and I'm so proud to be a father, a husband, an entrepreneur, a Christian, and an American. My wife Amy and I did our best to educate our children about our reasons for embracing traditional values. Recently, Amy and I became empty nesters, and now our young adults are in the real world with the American dream in their heads, their hearts, and soon it will be in their hands to share with others. God is good. Marriage and children are a blessing. Capitalism works, and America is grand. She is rich with beautiful places to explore. She's a melting pot of beautiful people. Diverse? Yes. But we are still blessed to have so much in common. Ignore the politicians and the media who sow seeds of hate. Let's embrace the wonders of life, liberty, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness in America. Join me in discovering the wonders of nature and the wonders of America.
Hey, it's summer and it's time to inspect your roof. Does it look damaged or faded? Are the shingles missing? Let Klaus Roofing System by Buck Buckley, BBB award-winning service, take care of you and your family. For a free roofing consultation, visit KlausRoofingByBuck.com. And remember, put a Klaus on your house.
BlueMountainExpress.com. We will improve your roof.
Statewide.
iHeartRadio celebrates the Tony Awards Sunday, June 16 on iHeartRadio Broadway, the greatest songs of musical theater.
Alexander Hamilton.
Go backstage with Broadway's biggest stars. Hear the stories behind the shows and commercial-free Broadway hits 24/7. Plus, check out exclusive interviews with this year's Tony Awards nominees. iHeartRadio Broadway, one of over 100 commercial-free stations on the iHeart app. Just search iHeartRadio Broadway and start listening.
To talk about, I almost said Gregory Thornton. That's going back. Dr. Keith Posley, the now former MPS Superintendent. Was Andrikopoulos? Is he still around? Man, oh man, Greg Thornton. Where did that come from? Doctor, what's on my brain right now? My producer wants to know about 10 million things, man. Tomorrow starts the annual Dan O'Donnell cruise. So we are taking a group of listeners aboard a private vessel, flying into Venice and traveling up the Croatian coast. That means I'm going to be gone for quite some time. Have you noticed that it just like every time you're leaving, the stuff you have to do not just with packing and, picking up the house and getting last minute stuff and all of that, but like the stuff you're asked to do at work, or that it just multiplies. And I have been pretty much the last 3-4 days running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to get everything done before we take off because, producer Dave is playing the sad vibe. Yes, I am aware this is like the ultimate first world problem, but and then, of course, I had a column all ready to go for the McIver Institute on the Scott Walker effect and why I don't think the Trump conviction is hurting him in the polls, because the voting public sees what a tremendous overreach this was, just as they did with the Scott Walker recall in 2012. And then Josh Call drops charges against 3 attorneys in the so-called fake elector scheme following the hyper-political AG in Michigan. This is there is no legal basis for this whatsoever. In fact, how much you want to bet if Trump wins the election in 2024? Democrats, who, by the way, in 2016 were openly calling for electors to not cast their votes for Donald Trump, saying you don't have to vote for Hillary, just vote uncommitted, vote for another candidate, be what's known as a faithless elector. Guess what? Being a faithless elector is also legal as well. Just because you are selected as a vote for Donald Trump, the electors actually have a tremendous amount of power. They are able to cast their electoral vote for whomever it is they want. We don't have a direct election for president in the United States. This blows liberal minds. We elect electors. You are not directly voting for Donald Trump. You are voting for 10 people who he and his political party will put up as a slate of people who will vote in the Electoral College about a month later. Those electors, those electoral votes. This is also why this notion that Mike Pence could have just unilaterally invalidated the electoral vote. He could not. The congressional counting is largely ceremonial. The actual election of the president happens when the electors meet to vote. And this is somewhat of an outdated concept, but the constitutional underpinnings are very strong. The framers clearly didn't want big states and big cities to be able to dominate the rest of the country, and they wanted a presidential election to be truly national. If you would just have a direct popular vote, if, let's say, we had a direct democracy where majority rules, where we're just saying, okay, whoever wins, essentially Wisconsin would not matter. The only cities that would matter. Do you realize the entire vote total that separated Hillary Clinton from Donald Trump in 2016? She won the popular vote, Trump won the presidency. Entire vote total, New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, end of list. That was the entire margin of her victory. Now, which outcome is more representative of what the widest swath of American voters wanted? If you take a look at pretty much any county or congressional district map of presidential election results, you will see a massive sea of red and tiny little specks of blue at the coasts and in various like Chicago, Milwaukee. But they're tiny little specks. That's not to say there aren't big population hubs in those specks. But to get the broadest reach of America, you need to have a system that takes into account and more levels the playing field so that someone's vote in North Dakota is not swallowed up by 25 more in New York. Heck, 25, try 5,000 more in New York. Right, it's the exact same concept in the United States Senate. And Dave, did we always have the direct election of United States senators? We most certainly did not. State legislatures used to choose the senators because those were considered to be more direct representatives of the people in each smaller district. The framers didn't want big, massive statewide or national elections. For example, to get the 2 representatives in the Senate, the idea was always to set it. It raised dramatically the importance of the state legislature in federal affairs. The same concept is true in the Electoral College. How much do you want to bet, though, that if Trump wins, there is going to be, without a hint of irony or self-awareness, the exact same people screaming for criminal charges in the so-called fake elector scheme are going to have their alternate slates of electors? Yeah, Biden electors, there will be, you'd better believe there will be legal challenges. They'll come up with some conspiracy as to why Trump didn't actually win. Oh, Democrats would never do that. Hello, Russian collusion from 2016 to 2019 when it was just sort of abruptly dropped and never ever spoken again. Democrats every time this century, every single time, 2000, 2004, and 2016, a Republican has won the presidency, they have objected on January 6th of the following year to the electors from either the state of Florida, the state of Ohio, or multiple states in the case of Trump, because they didn't think it was a legitimate outcome. But now, all of a sudden, that exact same thing is criminalized. You're charging attorneys with forgery for putting forth legal theories, for doing the law. So let's say the legal theory is rejected. Let's say a judge says, okay, no, we don't think that these alternate electors are valid. That's the end of it. A lawyer, a client relying on legal advice and legitimate legal work by an attorney, what effect does this have on the practice of the law when, if your argument is rejected, you might get popped for forgery? Are you kidding me? I guess it was only a matter of time, though, before lawfare came to Wisconsin, and here we are. I don't even know what to say about the fake electors anymore. O'Donnell here for my amazing friends at Built Right Furniture. Built Right's Friends and Family Mattress Sale is on now. Shop the most unique selection of mattresses with over 60 models and 500 mattresses in stock. Choose from the best brands made in the USA, including Heirloom, Restonic, Therapeutic, Schiffman, and more. Built Right always saves you money. Don't make a mistake by ordering online or from an employee-free store. Built Right makes it easy, and with their legitimate sale prices, you'll get exceptional value and a great night's sleep, just like I do on my Built Right Heirloom mattress. They do the research for you, and their team will take the time to help fit you. Built Right specializes in hard-to-find, flippable, two-sided, and heavy-duty mattresses that hold up to 600 pounds. Built Right is open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday. As always, they're closed to be with family. So make sure to tell them Dan O'Donnell sent you to Built Right at 54th and Layton in Greenfield.
This is Michael Lynch from Lynch Truck Center. For the first time ever, Lynch Truck Center is having a massive construction sale on over 400 in-stock trucks, which include Chevrolet, GMC, Kino, and Isuzu. You will not want to miss it. We're adding parking, 7 more truck bays, and expanded parts storage so we can better serve you, our customer. Did you know our experienced sales staff sold more Chevrolet medium-duty trucks and cabovers than all the other dealers in the state combined? With their knowledge on upfits, combined with our service department, we deliver turnkey vehicles for your business, including the right body for your application, bin packages, and even lettered when it's delivered right to your door. As a business owner, has managing your fleet grown into a full-time job? Our fleet department can help. We provide a free fleet analysis which guides you when to trade, help track expenses for maintenance, fuel, and even vehicle tracking. You'll be shocked on the money and time you can save, not to mention having new vehicles under warranty. Visit lynchtruckcenter.com and give us a shot. We won't disappoint you.
Hi, it's John Reitz from Great Midwest Bank, and as a community bank, we sincerely appreciate our customer loyalty. Over nearly 90 years, we've done all we can to return the favor. Great Midwest Bank offers flexible solutions that bigger banks and credit unions simply can't, because our entire team is right here in the community. We love helping our neighbors when we're at work and then catching up over the weekend. Visit us at greatmidwestbank.com. Great Midwest Bank, your simply local equal housing lender.
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services. I frequently speak with people who are unhappy with their landscaping and they're unsure how to turn things around. Well, here are 4 tasks that will make a remarkable improvement to dull landscaping. Number 1, thick, lush green grass. We need food and water to be healthy. Our lawn care programs and irrigation systems provide your grass with everything it needs to thrive. Number 2, pruning. Regular, technically correct pruning keeps plants strong and vibrant. Number 3, plant bed edging and a fresh layer of bark mulch. There's nothing better than the look of crisp bed edges and fresh mulch. Number 4, landscape lighting. You finally have your landscaping looking its best. A landscape lighting system lets your landscaping come alive after dark. So there you are, 4 landscaping tips that amplify the beauty of your home. Please call Seasonal Services at 262-392-3444 or look for us online at seasonalservices.com.
Sick of all the homeowner headaches? Tired of being a landlord? Did you inherit a property? Go to MetroMilwaukeeHomebuyer.com. We are a local family business, A+ with the BBB. It will make you a fair as-is cash offer within 24 hours. No fees, just cash. MetroMilwaukeeHomebuyer.com.
iHeartRadio Broadway celebrates this year's Tony Awards Sunday, June 16th, and takes you backstage with Broadway's biggest stars and commercial-free Broadway hits 24/7. Popular. Just search iHeartRadio Broadway on the iHeartRadio app and start listening.
For anyone living with everyday aches and pains, there's a lot of things you can try. You know, tough it out, bite the bullet, grin and bear it. Or you can try something that has helped so many other people, Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that addresses the inflammation where pain starts. And Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain for a short time. It helps reduce or even eliminate it all day, every day. Wherever you're hurting, your back, neck, joints, or muscles, in about 3 weeks or less, you'll see a difference and rediscover what it's like to feel better and live better. So if everyday pain is affecting your life, don't go with the mind over matter approach. Try Relief Factor instead. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Tour de force of truth. The sort of truth the rest of the media just kind of ignores, or far worse, outright lies about, covers up. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. We are officially endorsed by one convicted felon, Donald J. Trump.
Your show is a very important show, and it's a great show, and we appreciate it.
People hate when I say, Dan, you got to stop calling him a convicted felon. No, I want people to know they convicted Trump of a felony because he happens to be leading in the polls. Folks, every single thing Democrats have been doing pretty much since March, April, tells me everything I need to know about the state of this race. If anything, Trump's lead is probably somewhat understated, as polling has undercounted his support by anywhere from 3 to 5 points. I think we did this, I want to say 2-3 months ago, where I went back and looked at every single state, swing state poll that was done. And I thought the average was something like 3.3 points that Trump's support was undercounted by. And it was consistent across pretty much every battleground state poll. Remember, national polls largely, as I was talking about, we don't have national elections in this state. We have 51 District of Columbia statewide or district-wide elections where we don't actually elect a president. We elect electors who then meet at the Electoral College and cast their votes. Every single thing that Biden has done, including about 2 hours from now, where he's going to issue this big executive order, which he said for months he was powerless to issue an executive order closing the border. That, to me, is proof positive. Do you think Biden wants to close, after 3 years of basically, we're going to O'Hare Airport tomorrow. You know, they have those people movers where they allow you to walk a bit faster to get to your destination. He has done everything except install those across the Rio Grande River to open up America's borders. years, you think all of a sudden he wants to stop now. Now, they're still going to allow, I thought I saw 1,000 people a day in. And by the way, the Biden administration has very quietly been essentially legalizing, and it's being called backdoor amnesty, for 300,000 people who are just not given dates to make their asylum claims. Make no mistake, all of these asylum claims are completely bogus, but nonetheless, he's doing this now because he knows where he stands in the polls. The polls aren't inaccurate. If anything, they're inaccurate in the level to which they undercount Trump's support. And this is why this sort of thing is happening now at this moment. I'll tell you what, I am very excited to be taking a trip with 80-some of my closest friends on the Dan O'Donnell Show cruise, but I am actually kind of bummed not to be doing this show for the next couple of weeks. Dave's giving me a crazy look in there because I genuinely enjoy doing it. I genuinely love coming in here and doing what I do each and every day. And because I'm expecting a whole lot of stuff to happen in between now and the time I get back, which will be Monday the 17th. I believe I'll be back on the air on Tuesday, June 18th, back in the country on the 17th, but obviously after the time this show. Dave says, absence makes the heart grow fonder. While of that, I am totally sure. I will still be on social media. If there's big stuff breaking, I'll comment on it there. I'll have a column or two for the McIver Institute. But as of tomorrow, we will have a great lineup of fill-in hosts. I hope each and every one of you has a wonderful couple of weeks. Be sure to follow me at Dan O'Donnell Show on both Facebook and Twitter or X if you need a Dan-O fix. Otherwise, I am off. I hope all of you have a great week and a half.